Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Oscar prediction video where today I will be taking a look at the category of Best Documentary Feature Film. Now, documentary is always a really tricky category because we never know quite what the voters are going to do, at least in the nomination stage. They have a tendency to snub the frontrunner, and this was a year where all year we were like, are they going to snub the frontrunner? This movie is going to win if it gets nominated, but can it clear that hurdle? And fortunately for all of us, it did clear that hurdle, which means this should be a relatively easy category to predict. But part of me does wonder if there could be room for an upset. So without further ado, fifth most likely to win is Cutting Through Rocks. So as of this recording, there are 5 Oscar-nominated features that I have not seen, and Cutting Through Rocks is unfortunately one of them. I have seen the other 4 films that I'm going to talk about in this category, but this one remains elusive to me, and it sounds pretty interesting. It's about the first female counselor in an Iranian village who challenges gender norms by teaching girls to ride motorcycles and fighting child marriage. So I'm sure it's a really, really good documentary. If anyone knows an easy way that I can watch it, because I don't believe it's streaming anywhere, please let me know. I would like to check this off my list. But judging based on the fact that it hasn't gotten in at that many precursors, and also the fact that everyone else has this ranked in last place, I feel fairly confident putting it in last place, although I really don't have that much information to back that up with. So just crossing my fingers that it ultimately isn't going to come over the other movies that I'm about to talk about, that I do know more about. Fourth most likely to win is The Alabama Solution. So I've seen this one. This is a really, really powerful documentary breaking down the prison industry and the amount of brutality by guards on prisoners. This is one of those documentaries that is so powerful and showcases how the act of documentary filmmaking in and of itself can be an incredibly powerful tool to fight injustice. Even though the things that we see in this film are pretty bleak, the simple fact that this footage is being documented at all, the fact that this footage is able to be shared with people all around the world, is hope that things can change. Now, with that said, I don't think this is going to win. It hasn't done super well in the precursors. I was excited to see it just get this nomination. I don't know how many voters are really going off to bat for this one. And I think a lot of the issues that this documentary covers is also covered by another documentary that's up that I'll get to in a little bit. So my gut is saying probably no. It's not impossible, but I just don't see much of a reason to predict this one. Third most likely to win is Come See Me in the Good Light. So this is a documentary about Andrea Gibson and their partner, and the two of them dealing with Andrea's life-altering diagnosis. So this is a really emotional documentary. It is not as quote-unquote important as some of the others in this category. It is just about a celebrity dealing with a very personal crisis. And usually I would say that that doesn't stand much of a chance to win. I do think there's an argument to be made. If Oscar voters are watching all 5 of the nominees, this could be seen as the most uplifting. I mean, it's not exactly the happiest story out there, but the others are all about such serious subject matters that this one is a bit easier to watch. I'm honestly a bit shocked that the documentary branch thought to nominate it in the first place. Normally this would be the sort of thing that just gets into song but misses documentary feature. It actually reminds me a lot of American Symphony from a few years back. So simply because this is the type of documentary that doesn't usually get in, part of me does feel like some voters are gonna want to go out on a limb for it. At the same time, though, it hasn't won that many precursors, and I do think there is a pretty strong top 2. I do think most voters like to give it to a more important issue movie, but this could definitely still get some votes. Second most likely to win is Mr. Nobody Against Putin. So this is a really, really good documentary. And this one is showcasing a school in Russia that is slowly being warped into basically a grooming center for children to becoming soldiers in the war. Some of the stuff in this documentary is so shocking, I honestly would have had difficulty believing it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. It's really horrible, but like with the Alabama Solution, it really highlights the importance of documentary filmmaking. It is so important to get this sort of stuff on film. And we do also need to acknowledge the fact that of the last 3 winners, 2 of them were directly tying into the Russian-Ukraine conflict. And last year, we had, Porcelain War, which didn't win, but a lot of people were predicting, and some people say it was the runner-up last year. Now, I do think it's close. The fact that this one, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, recently won the BAFTA in a bit of an upset does have a lot of people looking into it. Could this be our surprise? And I think if the film that's in number 1 was not here, then I probably would be predicting Mr. Nobody Against Putin, because it is a very, very effective and powerful documentary. But my gut is telling me that number 1 most likely to win is The Perfect Neighbor. So this documentary tells the story of a dispute between 2 neighbors, in particular a white woman living in a predominantly black neighborhood, and how the feud between her and her neighbors eventually became very, very serious. And this documentary is filmed entirely with police body cam footage, and it is one of the most shocking yet gripping films of the year. It is a film that is hard to watch and yet hard to look away from at the same time. A fascinating character study of this woman who genuinely seems to believe that she is the victim, despite all evidence to the contrary, as well as a really unflinching look at this kind of violence that happens with the stand your ground laws that exist in the United States. And this documentary did very, very well on Netflix. It has won the vast majority of critics' precursors. It is the most talked about documentary of the year. And there was a while where I was like, is this just going to be the frontrunner that gets snubbed again? And ultimately, it wasn't. It got the nomination, and I really do believe that that is the hurdle. I think this documentary is going to play very well towards Oscar voters. It already has played well to general audiences and to critics, and I think there's a really, really good opportunity for the filmmakers to give a really powerful speech. I know that Mr. Nobody Against Putin won BAFTA. I do believe that that is the runner-up, but I do think that sometimes the obvious answer is the correct one. I fully believe that The Perfect Neighbor will be our winner. So thank you very much for watching, and tune in next time when I will be taking a look at the category of Best Production Design. See you then.